What's going on, y'all? It's Athletes Culture again, coming at you with another video. So, episodes 3 and 4 of The Last Dance aired this past Sunday. And as many have known, this was like the Dennis Rodman episode in which, they highlighted a lot of the Dennis Rodman, a lot on the influence Dennis Rodman had on the 1998 Bulls season. And, from there sparked a lot of interesting topics, throughout the week. Some being that how people discussed on how Dennis Rodman would have been able to defend against the players like LeBron James. And I just want to see this coming from, watching the whole Last Dance episodes 3 and 4. One thing people have to understand is Dennis Rodman is a terrific athlete. I mean, this is a guy at 6'7", was a defensive player of the year, not once, but twice. He guarded men taller, bigger than him, and defended them pretty well. And he was able to go out in perimeter. So if you want to talk about a player who can actually go out there and defend all 5 positions, Dennis Rodman is one, not LeBron James. So people like the Shannon Sharps of the world, they really need to pump their brakes on the way they view a LeBron James. Yes, LeBron James is a top 5 player, no doubt about that. But to say that Dennis Rodman wouldn't be able to defend against him or wouldn't be able to give him fits, that's ridiculous. Like, that is really, really crazy. Dennis Rodman would definitely be in LeBron James's ass. Now, with that said, does that mean LeBron James is going to go out there and lay a stinker and not, go out there and be great? That's definitely not, the case. LeBron's going to go out there and average, do his thing, and probably average 25, 9, and 7 against Dennis Rodman. He's going to do that. But within that time of averaging that, there's going to be games where Dennis Rodman is going to be a nuisance to LeBron James. But I always say the greats always find a way to make it happen. And, it's crazy, to think that with all that was going on in that season and the way how Dennis Rodman behaved, he was still able to keep that same level of championship focus and keep his body and still be able to produce. I mean, there were stories of Dennis Rodman going to the strip club and staying there until 5 a.m. and then the next day going out and grabbing 20 rebounds. I mean, Kendall Gill, former NBA star Kendall Gill, detailed this story. And it's crazy, somebody like Dennis Rodman was able to do that at the time of the most physical era of basketball, people like to say. So, I mean, people need to understand Dennis Rodman, he is that guy. He made a huge difference on that 98 team. And he was actually one of the oldest players during that season. He was 36 years old. One of the oldest players on the team. Still being able to go out there and give you 20 boards a night, be a defensive presence, night in, night out. So, throughout that episode, people just need to understand, when it comes to all-time greats, these greats can play in any era. Dennis Rodman is I would say, a better defender than a Draymond Green. So I think it's pretty much an insult to compare Draymond to Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman is a by far better athlete than Draymond Green ever would be. Just looking at his physique, his ability to leap, grab boards, his lateral movement, you can just tell he's a better defender and a better athlete than Draymond Green. Now, in terms of strength, I really don't know. I haven't seen any of them in the weight room, but I wouldn't put it past Dennis being just as strong as Draymond as well. So when people try to talk about those 90s eras that all they were, or 80s that all they were was just a bunch of guys who like to go out there and foul. But hey, you got to remember, these guys were also great athletes too as well. They didn't have a lot of the performance training that athletes today have. So if they had that, could you imagine what they would be like? Could you imagine a Dennis Rodman in today's basketball with the athletic training that athletes get today, with just his raw talent that he was able to display during that time period? I mean, he'd be a freak of nature, a complete freak of nature. It'd be crazy. Dennis Rodman was no bum. I mean, at 36 years old, think about it. At 36 years old, he was able to do the things he did, night in, night out. And I think that season, how many rebounds he averaged about 15 rebounds a game. One of the league leaders in rebounding. 15 rebounds a game at 36 years old. That's astonishing. That is tremendous. Many players break down by that time. They don't even see their career get up to that point. So if a player is able to be at that age and still performing at a high level, he is a great player and can play in any era. All right. So to say he wouldn't be a top defender or LeBron will beast on him. No, that's ridiculous. He would definitely give LeBron fits. I'm not saying LeBron is going to go out there and average 10 points a game or get shut down night in, night out. No, that's not definitely going to happen. But for sure, Dennis Rodman is going to be in his ass and give him fits. I mean, like, I've seen LeBron get shut down by lesser players. Can we go back to 2011, JJ Barea and what he did to LeBron James? So, I mean, Dennis Rodman, he's an all-time great. Y'all got to respect it. I mean, I'm glad that people really are highlighting him through this Last Dance documentary, and it's pretty insulting for people like Shannon Sharpe to go out there and say ridiculous things like, oh, Dennis is just coming out for his 15 minutes of fame. I was like, Shannon, you must not know who Dennis Rodman is. I mean, Dennis Rodman is that guy. Like I said, he is a 7-time rebounding champion, 8-time all-defensive NBA team selection, 7 of them of which were on the first team. And he's a 2-time defensive player of the year, a 5-time NBA champion, an all-star, NBA all-star twice, Hall of Fame player. Like, come on. Dennis Rodman is no bum. He's not out here looking for no 15 minutes of fame. People know the real deal. And that's why I hate people on the show that have not played the game of basketball professionally come out and say ridiculous things because they have an agenda. Shannon Sharpe, they have an agenda to push LeBron as like he's some sort of great player. Like he's the greatest of all time. He's a great player. He's definitely top 5, but he's not the greatest of all time. See, greatness shouldn't have to be forced, and that's what a lot of them do on these shows. But here on Athletes Culture, we try to give you guys the real, let it be known, give you guys back insights, backstories, inside information on the players that the media doesn't like to highlight on. So I want to hear what y'all have to say, think as well about the situation, and whether you look at Dennis Rodman as an all-time great. So like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm out.